Tony, a huge welcome back to Home Park. It's been best part of 4 decades, isn't it, since you were last here?
Exactly, yeah.
What's it like to see the old place?
It's amazing. I've got to look around, try to recognise part of it. This wasn't here. That was a bit different then. I said, where's the zoo that it used to have? Was it behind there?
It was, that was that sort of direction,
right. Yeah. So a little bit of Harpers Park, which we built when I was here, which was a great asset to the club. I'm sure has been a great asset. But no, just driving around Plymouth, it's hard to recognise some of the places.
That brings back some happy memories for you?
Oh, absolutely. The big regret I have, when I came here, for me it was a job for life. I really thought that Plymouth had the potential that Ipswich had shown. Bobby Robson's a good friend of mine and what they'd done. And Bobby and I stayed close, and Paul Minor was part of what happened there. We won the North American Soccer Bowl with players from Ipswich. No, I was disappointed when I finished here, because I was, in my naivety, I think probably, I was looking to the job for life, and who knows where the club might have got to and still could. If you had the stadium built for the World Cup, that would be an EPL club, wouldn't it?
Quite possibly, yes.
Yeah.
You say you wanted to do a bit of job for life, but you achieved a heck of a lot in your time that you were here. You won promotion, took the club to the semi-finals of the League Cup.
Yeah.
And that was just on the pitch. Off the pitch, you already alluded to it. I mean, Harpers Park was your baby, wasn't it?
Yes.
Let's talk about on the pitch first of all. Tell us about the players you had playing for you and what you achieved when you were here.
Well, I saw Jim Fennell this morning, and I hope Bobby Saxton would be here, because coming in last night we got held up with traffic, so it was late getting in, and I was hoping that Bobby and Jim Fennell and Paul Minor and Billy Rafferty would be there, because the four of them sort of personified what we were doing. Bob Saxton had broken his femur. His wife pinned him against the garage door one time, and he broke his femur, which is a terrible injury to have. You don't usually come back from that, but he did. And he wasn't very fit when I came here, but he played an incredible part in helping mould that team. And Jim Fennell, I saw Jim this morning, and I said he probably played his best goalkeeping in the whole of his career here at Plymouth, and he must have been, I think, probably 37 when he came back. And then obviously Paul Mann and Billy Rafferty were a duo, but it wasn't just about that. There were a lot of good players. I can always remember Colin Sullivan. I think he's still in the area, isn't he?
We see him every now and again.
Yeah, and he played for the England under-23 team, I think.
Yes, that's right.
We had a dilemma when I came here, because I was a goalkeeper, and in those days Leeds United were the team, and they had this in-swinging corner that caused havoc, and we brought our centre forward Ray Charnley back to mark Jack Charlton at the in-swinging corner. I ended up going to punch the ball and getting handcuffed by Ray Charnley and punching the ball in the back of my own net. And we decided that after that, wouldn't bring anyone back. It was my responsibility, but I knew the in-swinging corner was incredibly effective, and I was deliberating whether we should do it with Argyle, because Colin Sullivan was the only left footer in the team, which meant bringing him from left back into the right wing position to take the corner.
Yeah.
We eventually did it, and I can't remember, we scored 10 or more goals from corner kicks. Colin Sullivan was very much a part of that.
And part of the League Cup semi-final team as well. That was a great run, wasn't it? They played Manchester City here as well. I mean, they were a very good team even in those days, weren't they, Man City?
Yeah, very good team. We tied here in the two-leg semi-final and lost at Main Road. But what we did on the way there, we beat 3 top division teams. Birmingham City, Burnley, QPR, and I was just talking earlier about, we're doing a lot of video at the time, and I would use video with the players, but I'd get video of Birmingham or Burnley or QPR, but I'd turn the sound down, right? So they weren't getting carried away with the atmosphere and everything, and saying, look, they can make mistakes, same as you. And I remember the goal, I think it was Steve Davey who scored the goal at Birmingham City, which was a wonderful goal, wasn't it? Absolutely phenomenal. I don't think you've even got that on television. But Steve Davey is a very talented player, and I hope to see him this weekend. We probably didn't handle that one as well as we might, but what happened is Billy Rafferty and Paul Manor showed up, and it limited the chances of Stephen Davey.
We always talk about Paul Marron and Billy Rafferty as a pair, as a duo. You mentioned they were a duo yourself, but that's what they were, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
They fed off each other.
Well, I'd coached at Coventry and knew Billy Rafferty from his days at Coventry before he went to Blackpool. And Paul Mariner comes from my neck of the woods in Lancashire. And the person who took me into the game, Verdi Godwin, was our scout. And he said, "You've got to get this player." He said, "You've got to get him." I said, "If you don't," he says, "I'm finishing with you." So he put a gun to my head. We didn't need much of a gun though, because every club had looked at him, particularly in the north of England. He was 19, I think, when he came here. But he proved to be a great player, didn't he?
He certainly did, and took you to that promotion in 74-75, which everybody here still calls the dream season.
Yes, it was. No doubt about that. And the disappointment for me is we held it together for the next season in the second division, but we didn't do so well the season after. And it's ironic. It's the waiters' era, but it was 5 years, but 4 were good, 1 wasn't. Gave me the opportunity to go to Canada. Right?
Let's just talk briefly about it. You haven't got a great deal of time now. I know you've got lots of things to do today. You're going to meet the fans and sign the club shop, and then there's 2 events this weekend. It's going to be busy for you. But since you've left Plymouth and Plymouth Argyle, what have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I went to the old Vancouver Whitecaps of the North American Soccer League on a 4-month contract, and I'm still there. Can't get rid of me. and the season went well. It was interesting because it was almost relaxing to go to a club where the pressure wasn't on to quite the same extent. And we ended up having a good season, got into the playoffs, which is everything there, and then signed a new contract. And then eventually we won everything in the North American Soccer League, beating the New York Cosmos on the way. It absolutely took Vancouver by storm, because the guy with ABC, Jim McKay, the play-by-play guy, as they call him over there, said the village of Vancouver. Well, that incensed the people in Vancouver incredibly. We went on, we beat the Cosmos in an epic of a series, because it went on. If you didn't have a result, you go into overtime. If you didn't have a result after overtime, you went to the shootout. And so we went through to the final. And when we won it, the village of Vancouver turned out when we got back. There were 120,000 people downtown in Robson Square to welcome the team back. It was an incredible experience. And
Canada's been your home ever since?
Sorry?
Canada has been your home ever since?
Yes, it has. And stayed on though with the Whitecaps, but then typical of North America, everything changes very quickly, and I got elevated to the dizzy heights of President General Manager, and it wasn't for me. Right? I wanted to be out on the field, so I resigned that position, and then found myself as the national coach for Canada, which was another great experience, because we went to the Olympics, the '84 Olympics in America, got to the quarter-finals and got very narrowly eliminated by Brazil on a penalty shootout in the end. and then we qualified for the World Cup in '86, which was the first time Canada's ever done it, and they haven't done it since, which I don't find too complimentary, because you should follow doing something good by something better. And unfortunately, what's happened in Canada, the environment has changed. Same as it has here. The English players beginning to come through again, and one of the problems of the game here has been the EPL, where they don't play English players. Right? They bring them in from all over, and yet, England did very well in the World Cup, and it seems that more and more English players are getting the opportunity to come through. In Canada, same there. They've got the Major League of Soccer, which is a North American league. Very few Canadians in it. Yeah. So when I was the Canadian coach, I had over 100 Canadians to select from who were playing professionally in the North American Soccer League, because they were the best players on the North American continent. Yeah. But they came from a different environment, and the environment in those days was kid would come home, grab a soccer ball, go out in the park and play. Today, the kids in Canada and America, they have to be driven to practice, right? It's a spoiled society. And I'm trying to get a program going at the moment in the inner cities of Canada. And the school we're using got 61 nationalities in it. Immigrants and refugees who can't get into the normal club soccer because it's pay to play.
Right, okay.
Right? They can't play, so we're developing programs, and they've been brought up with soccer. It's from talent. There's a player just gone to Bayern Munich from Vancouver. Brilliant. $21 million, born in a refugee camp in Ghana. Antonio Davis, Alfonso Davis. Uh-huh. Keep an eye on him, because I think he's going to be a very good player, but he's come out of the inner city area.
It seems to me you've always been at the forefront of doing, something, the next step. You're ahead of the field in some ways. I mean, you talked about that, you talked about your videos early on, and I know Harpers Park. I mean, if it wasn't for you, Harpers Park wouldn't be behind us now, and we wouldn't have we'd presumably have a ground to train on, but it wouldn't be Harpers Park. Right. Just tell us how that came about.
Well, I'd been interested in the development side from day one. In fact, finished playing early at 30 to get involved in coaching with the English FA, and I wasn't good enough to be a pro at 18 or 19 or 20, but I went to college. I went to Loughborough College, which is now a university, as the #1 phys ed college. So for me, being a phys ed teacher was the next best thing to being a pro. But those 2 years at Loughborough put a great grounding for me on the development side. So I've always looked at that aspect of player development and what can be done. And, things are changing across the water in North America. They're beginning now to have players coming through. The United States didn't qualify for the World Cup, which was a shame, but they will, and they'll eventually be one of the top soccer countries in the world.
And while you were here talking about Harpers Park, you actually you did fundraising for that, didn't you? You were very good at running in marathons. I know that pictures of you in the various marathons up and down Devon and Cornwall, raising money and paying for the funding. I think you were at Ermington first, when you had a place at Ermington, and then
yes,
you were saying that
I was at Ermington.
You embarrassed Plymouth City Council, so they helped you out. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. No, they were very good about it in the end. Fantastic, because the park here, it's a heritage, isn't it?
Yes.
And to allow some part of it to be developed into a training ground. And I was talking about Bill Harper, who I got incredible respect for when I came here, and Bill had been everything here, hadn't he?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he came as a player, did he? And then he became the manager.
Yes. Goalkeeper like yourself, I think.
Yeah. So Bill, I used to remember after each game would come in, and if we'd done well, he'd say, "Did well today. The boys looked after you well." If not done very well, he said, "They'll let you down today."
Tony, we could chat all day. I know you've got so many other opportunities to meet the fans and all the players that you play with. You mentioned earlier that Saka's unfortunately not going to be here, is he? But I think Jim and Billy and Paul are, and a whole host of others. So I'll let you get back and see them, and we'll have a chat later on tonight when you're in the Green Taverner's tent and there's an event.
You're going to ask me some harder questions, then,
I'll save the harder ones for later, though. But no, it's been great to chat. And are you going to be able to watch this afternoon's game with a relaxed eye, or will the coach's eye still be on it?
No, it'll be a relaxed eye. Because it's a long time since I've been here.
Yes.
And what I used to do when I was here, I'd go in the stand and watch the game.
Yes.
Right, and gives you more objectivity.
Right.
Get the walkie-talkie going. So, and then if things weren't going so good, you go down to the dugout. And I did that when I went to Canada, and there they had a Canadian football ground, and they had this spotter's hut on the top of the stand. So I used to go up there with the walkie-talkie, and the people hated it. Where the hell's the coach, they say, right? So I decided I couldn't do that, so I went down in the dugout and I'd be ranting at the referee, and then they all go away.
Tony, lovely chat. Enjoy the game. Speak to you later.
All right, thanks, Rick.